It's time for us to talk about the traitors now. Okay. Now that y'all favorites have spoiler alerts, y'all should have watched it by now because this video was a little bit late. Now that y'all favorites are all gone, are we going to continue to watch? Does this show have a problem with racism, racial bias? Is it all a game and people are forgetting that it is a game? As a therapist, we got to get into some deep things and talk about what's really going on, what's happening. Now hit that like, subscribe to the channel as I fix my light. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. Now, I had to sit with my thoughts because after watching it on Thursday, I thought it was all about the game. I thought a lot of game moves were made, but then I logged on the threads. Okay, and then I thought, did I miss something? Was it a racist move? Was it woke culture? What is it? What's really going on? Now, at the beginning of this episode, we are in the turret. And Candice and Rob the tension is high. They're mad at each other. Tension is thick. Okay. And once again, we're seeing traitor versus traitor. And like another season of them against each other. And the thing for me is that there are egos in the kitchen. You have one person who, Candice to me, is all about her ego. And to me, as the episode progressed, I'm like, your ego, girl, your ego and your emotions are getting in the way of gameplay. And Candice to me is a person who will take you down with her. And at some point, kind of felt like the plot got lost. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about us tricking them to believe that we're faithfuls. It came about vengeance. Vengeance. And at the beginning, Rob is like, you make the move of who we're going to murder next. It's on you. Okay, I'm going to give you that. And she chooses Colton. It was either between Colton and Steven. And knowing that Candice is a very vengeful person, very petty, after watching her on Potomac, I can see, damn, I hope she does not choose Colton, but knowing the way Candice moves with vengeance and ego and her needing to be right and having power, she chose Colton. And a lot of you guys feel like she did it in a very masterful way, very quiet, not dramatic, but she left the impact. And I think it was a bad game move. I feel like it really shot her game in the foot because it was a big move and he had already been leading on and leaving little traces that Candice is a traitor. Candice is a traitor. I'm going to sprinkle this all over that Candice is a traitor. Not to mention, we still are coming back from Candice randomly choosing to have a throwaway vote at the table for Rob. Okay, we have these things already in place. So I'm just like, girl, you are not thinking past this moment in the turret. You are not thinking past Lisa leaving, your ace boon coon. You are moving with vengeance. And so for me, I didn't see the racial bias in this aspect of the game. Do I believe that watching these reality shows in general, whether it's dating, competition, that the people, the non-white people, are always the ones who go first? Yes. For me, that's why we haven't had another cookout. We have not had a cookout 2.0 because I'm sure the executives are like, we're not having too many of them people on the show no more at one time. Because how many Black people have we seen on Big Brother all together since that? Not as many. Okay. So do I believe that a lot of these shows have racial bias? Yes, I do. The people of color are always the targets. Looking at the duration of this show, Ron, Tiffany, I think what's his name? Peppermint. All the different people of color got cast away pretty quickly. All right. But I think as I moved through this episode thinking back, I personally feel like Candice's ego is what ultimately got her found out. Okay. And why do we come to a point, because this happened, wasn't it last season with Danielle, Rob, and Caroline? It comes to a point where it's traitor versus traitor. Okay. And let me know, do y'all feel like production they know when they choose the traitors, these personalities will eventually turn on each other. Okay. Will they eventually turn on each other? But moving through this episode, there were moments where I was like, Candice, please let it go. Please let it go. Colton is gone. Now these terrible faithfuls don't have anyone to look up to, but I guess Rob. And I'm also thinking about most of them know Rob has the double votes in his pocket, which you don't know about. Okay. The show displays to me how personalities, and I've seen this said this in past seasons, personality types are what's going to get you kicked off. Not your gameplay so much. We do see that at times, but it's more of your personality, having to have the last say, having to be dominant instead of being quiet. Notice how the quiet ones are still there. Is anyone looking at Mark Bayless? Is it Bayless or Ballas? Is anyone looking at him, the dancer? Is anyone looking at Kristen? Now, they are all terrible faithfuls this season, but I still feel like the quiet people has is his name? Maybe it's Mark Bayless. Did I say Mike? Mark. Has Mark said much of anything all season? He might be the one who really takes it at the end because nobody's looking at him. He's not saying nothing. He's not doing nothing. Similar to Steven, even though I think Steven, this last episode, he came up into play a lot more. Okay. But it is your voice. It is your need for power. Okay. Your need for power. And I feel like when it comes to Candice, her ego. And there are people who are saying, how come Rob can make these game moves, but when Candice does it, oh, you're doing too much. Okay, you're doing too much. Do you guys feel like there's a double standard? Okay. Is there a double standard? Now, I remember seeing an interview where Ron said he got kicked off. Was it the Jennifer Hudson show? He said he got kicked off because he was the realest. Oh man, as much as we like you, Ron, you're a little delusional. Okay, that is ultimately not why you got let go. But it becomes about, I think Candice wanting vengeance. And I think that it became a game of chess. And Rob just had too many moves ahead of her. And her ego, her need for power, to me, is ultimately what got her banished. I don't think it is about racism in this particular dynamic. I just thought it was he had better gameplay. Okay, I think he had better gameplay. But it was so interesting to watch her move. To watch her move in the show and take things personally. And Candice does say it's a game. You are a snake. She warns him if she gets banished, then she will sabotage him on her way out. Okay. And watching them go back and forth on socials also, I feel like she did take the game pretty personal. Okay. Why is it not sharing? Let me share this with y'all. She took the game very personal. And when you are in these type of competition shows and you start taking things personal, it damages your game. Okay, it damages your game. People have to let go of their egos. And I guess for her, it wasn't about the money anymore. I don't need the money. It's about me just getting rid of Rob. And there's this scene where Rob walks in and she's having dinner with Steven. Okay, after already it's been sprinkled around that people are sprinkling her name around. Rob walks in and says to Steve, "Can I have a moment with Candice?" And you see both the powers that be and how they, to me, display power very differently. I think Rob is able to harness power and use it for gameplay without being obvious. But Candice, to me, wears her emotions on her sleeve. And she can't help but be seething with madness. Be seething with madness, with anger, with frustration. And I think it's a frustration that he got one over on her. For me, it's a game, y'all. I see the racial bias in the movements, some here and there. And we'll get to the roundtable. Tiffany had no reason to leave. Okay. Hey, is his name Peppermint? He had no reason to really leave. So they had this conversation. And to me, it was bad game move right there. It was a bad game move. Why would you ask to have a conversation with Candice in front of Steven? And I wonder, next episode, will Steven remember that? Is he playing the game or is he just there, y'all, for fun? Is he just there? But ultimately, they have a conversation and she is pissed. Okay. She is pissed. Very pissed. We see them play this little game with pictures. I guess we saw that earlier. Okay. Now we get to the round table. Okay, we get to the round table. Johnny actually opens up the discussion, listing the reasons why he suspects a certain person is a traitor. Okay. Dorinda chimes in. I'm tired of seeing Dorinda on these Bravo shows, yo. I'm tired. Why they keep giving her a chance? And then Eric. Now, Eric, I do see some racial bias with him. It had to be a black woman's laugh. It was a laugh of a black woman. No, I do see it. Yeah, I do be seeing it, y'all. Okay. And he mentions Candice, her previous votes. She reacts by talking about the throwaway vote, but she didn't really have a good game for discussing why she did the throwaway vote. Okay, saying that Rob was nervous and he dropped his fork. That's the best you got. He dropped his fork. And why? Why would you call out your own traitor? I think she opened up a can of worms she couldn't close. And saying that Rob was using Colton, didn't she call him a beard? Some of these things, y'all, I don't understand why y'all calling out racism, bias, but y'all not calling out some of the little gay innuendos and that she has insinuated over the season. People pick and choose to me what they want to be outraged by. Okay. Now they go back and forth. And then Tara Lipinski out of nowhere is like, I think Natalie is a traitor. Now, y'all, I also saw y'all said that was also racial bias because out of nowhere, how did Natalie get into somehow being a traitor? Could it be that the faithfuls are just bad? They're just bad. I don't want to say that there's not racial bias in this dynamic tonight at the dynamic that evening at the round table because yes, I do. There were clear signs of that. I don't know how Natalie got into the conversation. Other than that, it's somebody to pick. Once again, going back to Mark, he's so quiet, even though he's not a traitor. But I would think someone being quiet, not conversating, not talking about games, similar to what y'all did to that mama, Taylor Swiftie, mother-in-law. But y'all not doing the same thing about Mark. He quiet, he in the background, he doesn't talk much game. He doesn't talk to nobody really, but he gets a pass. All right. And so since Candice did not have a good explanation on why she did the throwaway vote, and now she's gunning for Rob, it made people more suspicious. And I think in that moment, after she saw the first 3 votes, damn, this ain't looking too good for me. Okay, this ain't looking too good. And everyone voted for Candice except Tara Lipinski. She still voted for Natalie, which makes no sense that, okay, I'm going to give it to y'all. Maybe that's racial bias right there. Okay. And we see Candice stand up, holding back tears. I don't want to cry. I love you all so much. This experience has been life-changing. I've never been in a situation where I've connected with so many people so quickly. I feel like I played this game with valor, with love, with respect, and with treachery because I am a traitor. And we saw Candice walk away. Okay. Do you guys think it was racial bias? Are you going to stop watching the show? Was it just bad gameplay and her ego got in the way? Her ego got in the way. It just, to me, I feel like it was more of an ego thing. You had 2 people who have dominant personalities. I think one thing that Candice slept on is that I feel like Rob has been through a lot of things in his life. And he's been able to push past some of the things he has been through. When you have been through trauma, when you had to push past personalities, hardship, it builds something in you that you can take on anything and anybody. And the fact that he charms snakes and catches snakes, that is his day job, that's not easy. Your life is on the risk all the time. Him coming from Love Island, where they're recording you 24/7, being able to live with strangers for what, let's say 60 days, 24/7, that's hard too. And having to get along with these people is not easy. So I think there are certain things about Rob that just made him, to me, a better game player. The things he's been through. He has this, like, oh no, how to explain, unless you have been through a lot of trauma, you just have this thing about you where you can, if you have overcome certain things, you just feel like, okay, I can push through anything the world puts on me because I push past that. All right. So that's why I think Rob is a better game player. And at the moment, people still don't expect him to be a traitor. They still look at him. They're still looking around like, who could it be? Who could it be? And now it is time to recruit a new traitor. All right. He's in there by himself. Finally, some peace. Here comes Alan. You must either murder or recruit. I personally think it would have been better to murder somebody than recruit. I think he puts his game on the line, bringing someone in so late in the game. And he's hoping to bring in somebody that eventually will just get cast out and voted off, and then he'll become the last traitor again. I don't know. I just think he should have murdered somebody and then picking someone. And who does he choose? It had to be a Black woman's voice. I just don't know. What do y'all think about him choosing? I can't remember his name. The singer. Okay, the singer as a traitor. Nam receives a recruitment letter and he isn't pleased. I'm almost there. I just want to be left alone, he says. I just want to be left alone. We see him leave the castle. He walks to the front and he is stunned. Oh my God, Rob. And scene. Okay, and scene. But I get what you guys are saying about racial bias and things like that, but in this particular thing, I think that Candice was just ego driven. She was mad, she was vengeful, and at the end of the day, she would do whatever it takes to get rid of Rob, which is sink her own game, which is what she did. It became she wasn't there about the money anymore. She was there about vengeance. And when you have an ego and your ego is bigger than the game, bigger than the team, you will always lose. Okay. But these are just my thoughts on the Traitors. Do you think there's a problem with racism, racial bias? Or is it that it's just a game and people don't like how some people are playing the game? Okay. When your favorites lose, do people pull the race card? Okay. Now, I'm Denise Brady. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I do see, let me just reiterate that I do see racial bias in certain aspects of this game, the way people were kicked off from the forefront. But when it comes to this Candice and Rob situation, I kind of feel like it was just better gameplay from Rob. Okay. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Can we really ever escape racism? Okay. Do people feel like the audience is too woke? I don't know anymore. Okay. I just know all my favorites are gone. Thankfully, we're at the end of towards the end of the season. Not much is left. They're about to film the reunion. And we just had a season of bad faithfuls, very terrible faithfuls, very terrible faithfuls. Okay. Very bad. But let me know your thoughts on this episode. Of course, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave some comments, and of course, I'm gonna see you for the last couple episodes. All right, have a good day. Support the channel. I need some of y'all support, okay? And I will see you in the next one. Bye.